So we've come to the end of this 5-test series, one that India began so promisingly with a draw at Trent Bridge and victory at Lord's. It's got completely unravelled after that. Heavy defeat in Southampton, 2 defeats inside 3 days at Old Trafford and the Oval. Joining me is Lawrence Booth of the Wisden Cricketers Almanac and the Daily Mail. Lawrence, after Lord's, few could have foreseen it, but after what happened at Southampton, you did get the feeling that the wheels were coming off in a sense, and they truly have.
Yeah, it was strange, wasn't it? Because the Lord's win for India, you didn't instantly think that India were going to steamroller the series, but the manner in which England then won at Southampton, with India putting up so little fight, going on the defensive as early as the second session, just gave you a hint that England might be able to do that in reverse. Anderson and Broad finally woke up, so did Ian Bell. Cook got some runs. That crucial drop by Jadeja when Cook was on 15 on the first morning at the Ageas Bowl now looks like one of the turning points of the series. And India just folded. You know, they're not used to 5-test series, but 5-test series can go like this. I was in Australia over the winter. Exactly the same thing happened to England against Mitchell Johnson. And India, well, they were facing Chris Jordan and Chris Wokes at the end, but they may as well be batting against Johnson the way they folded.
Yeah, but it does make you ask questions about the quality as well, doesn't it? Because throughout the series they didn't have a settled side, and for the Oval game you had Stuart Binney coming in. No one's really sure what his role is in this side. The bowlers fell away badly, even the ones who started well. With a series in Australia coming up, where do India go? Do you think they have the quality of players to put up a fight in Australia?
Well, you're right. I don't think they ever worked out what their best team was. It seemed weird to most English observers that Ashwin wasn't picked until the 4th test, and even when he was picked, he was barely bowled by Dhoni. Dhoni seemed to have no confidence in whoever the 5th bowler was in his team. Binney didn't get much of a bowl here. When he did, he was going at 5 or 6 and over, so maybe Dhoni was justified, but then what was he doing in the team in the first place? In terms of the talent, look, we all know about India's batting talent. The number that England did on Pujara and Kohli in particular was crucial. Kohli ended up averaging 13 in this series, Pujara 22. I mean, the odds on that at the start of the series have been astronomical. So, you know, they can come back, but the question is, do they have the fight and the heart? And from seeing them bowled out in under the equivalent under a session today reminded me of England going down at Sydney in January when they were bowled out in 31 point something overs. It was exactly like that. The white flag was flown, and believe me, if India think it was hard here, it's going to be twice as hard in Australia.
Those young batsmen that you spoke about, Dhoni was asked about the possible benefits of playing county cricket. With lucrative IPL contracts, the chances of Kohli especially coming here are next to non-existent, I'd say. Do you think somebody like Pujara would really benefit, and if so, in what way, from a stint with a first division side perhaps? Yeah,
I think Pujara is a good example. I know he's been looking around for counties. He wants to play maybe the last month of this season and possibly next season. He's the kind of guy who, because he's quite a technical player, that's how he gets his confidence, and if he learns about the techniques of batting in English conditions, then absolutely it'll make him a stronger player. Someone like Dhoni is completely opposite. He's an instinctive player, a touch player, and perhaps he's not the best captain for this group of guys, because he's not the bloke who can teach them about techniques. He's about instinct, and you know, he got 450s in this series, and he was the only one who fought in the first innings here. Without that, they'd have been bowled out for under 100 twice. He sort of hinted earlier that he wasn't absolutely certain he'd still be Test captain, and who could blame him? They got a 4-test series in Australia coming up. Then there's a World Cup where that might be able to gloss over a few of the problems, followed by an IPL, and Chennai Super Kings might win the IPL and everything suddenly looks great again in Indian cricket. But they lost 4-0 here 3 years ago. Dhoni said that was a worse result because they had experienced players who should have known what they were doing. I think this was the worst result. They were 1-0 up, there was hope, there was a young team.
And a significantly weaker England side as well.
Quite, England at rock bottom. Yeah. You know, Cook thinking about his future, no backup seamers at that stage to speak of. Moeen Ali not quite sure what his role was, Sam Robson struggling to bed in. That was an England team there for the taking, and they've been absolutely pulverised in 3 tests. So Dhoni's got to ask himself serious questions. Indian cricket does, will they? I doubt it.
Finally, about England, the way they've come back this summer, a lot of the young players, especially Joe Root, who played another brilliant innings here, he's a find. Balance was the highest scorer in the series. Wokes and Jordan didn't bowl like change bowlers at the Oval. They looked like they believed that they belonged. So quite a few positives for England to take out of this.
Yeah, the only negative, in fact, at the end of the 5 tests is Sam Robson, who averaged 30 or thereabouts, and with England's next test series in the Caribbean in April, I'd be surprised if he's still there. He's going to have a hell of a Lions tour this winter. There's some talk about getting Alex Hales in. I'd like to see Alex Hales in Test cricket. He's been averaging about 50 for Notts in Division 1 this season. He could be England's answer to David Warner. Of course, he's still got to play 50 over cricket, crazily. But if you've got him, Cook and Balance as a top 3, I think that's pretty strong. And like you say, the backup seamers is a massive plus for them, with Stephen Finn, Ben Stokes and Liam Plunkett all hovering around. And Moeen Ali hasn't quite answered the spin bowling problem, but it's not such a big a problem as it was at the start of the series when we were looking for someone to replace Graham Swan. So it's all rosy at the moment for England, but look, there's a lot of one-day cricket for them to come, and they don't usually specialise in that. So yeah, typically English negative perspective to end the series with there.
Thanks a lot for joining us, Lawrence. That's it from our coverage of this series. Thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you during the home series against the West Indies, which starts in October.